Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So in today's video we're going to be doing a little bit of a chit chat about the Herk Orion #1. The mini PC solution I've been reviewing for quite a long time now, and I can tell you this is a brand I had reviewed before, and the previous one I did like it with some very cool interesting options. So this is the AMD Ryzen 9, the 7000 series what I recall. However, what you're getting is 8 cores, 16 threads, and we're having a Radeon 8 in the inside. And what I love about the, let's say, a mobile chip, the 780, is that this thing is quite powerful to even run AAA games. Dual channel and having DDR5, you can all the way go to 2 TB storage capacity, and this thing seems to be also with dual speakers. Having Wi-Fi 6 and then having USB 4, having vapor chamber technology for optimal cooling. This can be a very interesting mini PC for just basic, let's say, usage. Think about some office stuff, but if you want to get into gaming, maybe you can do some really interesting things with that too. Different models, and also meaning that we have different kind of configurations. And there are a lot of them. So mine comes with a 7735, 16 GB of RAM and 1 TB of storage. But as you can see over here, we're having all kinds of different variations, and then we're going to be having different kind of colors. Didn't fill out anything, but we do have a sticker that we're going to be leaving what you're getting. But later on we're going to be checking out the specs too. Okay, so let's slide it open and let's see what's going on with this. So I already mentioned before, Herk, I did a review about one of these mini PCs, and I can tell you that this thing feels really beefy, and the overall quality, I was quite surprised with the previous model. So vapor chamber technology, and when it comes to, let's say, everything you can do with this, the previous one's powerful. I think this one is slightly less powerful, but doesn't matter because we can still do a lot of cool things with this. So let's see what we're getting more in here. So the manual, there also delivery is not very extended, some basic explanation about it, how you need to open it up and stuff like that. Particularly if you're going to be buying this without any extra things. So in here we're finding everything, the power cable, also the bracket for putting this thing, or actually like putting it in, let's say if you want to put it behind your monitor, and then the power supply, and that is a very nice one. 19 volts, 6.3 amps, in total almost 120 watts. So this is a very beefy one when it comes to the power supply, but let's do a quick overview of the mini PC itself. At the front we're going to be having a lot of connections, slightly different than different configuration we've seen of mini PCs. So at the front we're having an audio jack out, a USB-C, to USB 2.0 and 2.0 and an on-off switch. And at the back we even going to be having the RJ45 twice, input for the power supply, then another USB-C port, an HDMI port, display port, and over here we're going to be having another two or a set of USB 3.0 ports. Okay, so we're ready to go with the Orion 1. So I've been pre-installing all of the programs, so let's do a little bit of an overview of, first of all, with the CPU Z, we're going to be putting all of these freaking things on notification. Let's put it this low because I find these freaking things so annoying. Yes, I want to, please. Okay, with this particular model we have the AMD Ryzen 7, the 7735HS. So this is also codenamed Rembrandt. Socket the FP7. So when it comes to the specifications, we have reviewed, let's say, a more powerful version, but yeah, there were like minor differences. So the main board is indeed Herk. Memory, we're having DDR5, 16 GB, enabled dual channel. So here you can actually see both of the memory slots. The graphics is going to be the onboard, and I must say that I am a big fan of the 780M with a simple reason, because this thing has a lot of potential. And of course what we can do, we can even do a little bit of a stress test of the CPU if you want to, and it will be fun to check it out and do a little bit of an HB or do I say this correctly? Yeah, the HW monitor. So let's do that, and let's go to be the next test for today. Pushing this device to its limit, and let's see how hot it's going to be getting. And I must say we're going to be looking at the temperatures. At this point we're going to be having a maximum of 81, 82 Celsius. The fans are spinning and blowing the air out like crazy. So I think it's going to be overall not bad at all. This is when it comes to the overall cooling. Yeah, these things can become very hot. But of course we're going to be having this one, we're going to be rendering a video or just playing a very demanding game. Moving on to the Testbench, and we're going to be doing the CPU multi-core and the single core. But let's start off with the multi-core. Let's click on it and let's double check it. And let's start this thing up to see how far we can push it and actually how it's getting and what kind of score are we going to be having with this. Alright, so let's do a little bit of an overview. So when it comes to the multi-core GPU points, we're getting 12,802 points, and with the single core we're having 1,557 points. However, if we're going to be looking and comparing this with different kind of, let's say, cores, I understand it's depending on a little bit of what kind of, let's say, performance you're searching, but let's say the single core we're getting over here that is similar to an i7 11th generation, or a little bit higher over there. For the multi-score, so this actually AMD Ryzen 7 7535HS is actually going to be, it's comparable with the AMD Ryzen Threadripper 9950X. So when you're going to be looking at the specs, this is what we can actually get. However, the temperatures was even hitting the 86 on the maximum. It's now a value of 42 after like a crazy 20 minutes of rendering. So when it comes for playing basic games like in Cuphead or many others, they will run absolutely great on 1080p and don't even utilize the full CPU and GPU performance.
A great slam and then stop. It's gone.
Engage.
I'm saving up for a home.
Go, go, go! Knock, knock. Adios.
Leave me alone, buddy. Jump down.
Checkpoint.
But how about playing more demanding games? So I found it really interesting to see that where we're going to be playing on full HD many different games, we can have like a combination of sometimes low, even some games played on high on this onboard 780M. And I think even where this is like the most powerful and newest edition of the AMD Ryzen family, I think this can be a lot of fun playing and just these new remastered games on beautiful graphics on full HD graphics. Red Rogers, based on an Amiga game, you would say this is just an easy 2D platformer, but you know, this is a very, very demanding game with a lot of particles and stuff that you need to be rendering. However, this has been set to full HD and high graphics, and I can tell you, you do need a little bit of tweaking, but it's quite interesting to see that we can actually play this because I've been testing this on, let's say, more powerful cars like a GTX and RTX, and some of them were really struggling just with a simple game like Red Rogers.
Wait up! I'll pan through the world to show where this'll go.
So cool! Let's find the other three.
Looks fun. Give it your all.
Let's get this party started.
So this is just clear that when it comes to playing fighting games and other one, you need to do a little bit of tweaking when it comes to the onboard GPU. 100% GPU usage on high graphics 1080p. You can see it's way too much for this particular chipset. So if you want to play a little games, you need to add an external GPU if that is even possible, or we're going to be using, let's say, a different kind of game settings. In this case, I think it's going to be a mix of medium high, that we have like the full 60 frames per second, because this game feels like a little bit unplayable. Like it's like having this weird floating situation with the only 45 frames per second. But with emulation, there is so much stuff that you can actually do with this. It's absolutely nuts. And yeah, we have absolutely a lot of different systems. So if you're going to be using, let's say, some different applications, let's say Lunchbox Hyperspin, but in this case, we're going to be using the RetroBat. So we can play all kinds of different games. And I think the struggles we had, for example, with N64, we can just boot it up in this way and we can just play these games without any problems whatsoever. But if you're going to be looking into N64 emulation, we can even do some upscaling. I didn't implement it now in this part of the video. But you know, we can do some really cool stuff. You have these plug and play devices that can be plugged in into, let's say, your mini PC. And we can just play. Of course, we also have butters here up, but that's going to be another different story. As of course, going to be not using Windows at all. But N64 is absolutely great on these mini PCs.
One, start!
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
But let's do a little bit of chit chat about the emulation part. So with even, this is not like the most powerful AMD Ryzen chip out there. And of course it's already a little bit older one. I think it's still very interesting. So here you can see with PlayStation Portable, like when I think the maximum when it comes for overall emulation performance. Yeah, we can see that it dips down sometimes, but it's still playable to a certain point. And yeah, if you're going to be doing a little bit of a chit chat about more of these games and just do more testing, different kind of systems, you can see we can push this thing, and if this is getting older and cheaper, it's going to be even more interesting.
Ready. Go.
Mines. 5-1, this is Hammerhead 6-2. TOC advises streets barricaded to the north. We are circling around you to find an alternate route, over.
Copy that, 6-2. Hammerhead 6-2, this is 2-5. We're pinned down. I have multiple casualties. Request priority medevac on my location.
Say again, Uranus, we did not copy.
Three, two, one, go!
You got this. Okay, let's go. Gonna get ya!
So the configuration, what you're getting with this is quite interesting with a simple reason. There we go. So having a very nice metal plate over here. So even with a tiny dust filter. So the way that he constructed this, even with some rubberized, let's say, pads for giving the distance and also some extra, let's say, support. The overall configuration is quite nice. So the first thing you will see if you're going to be opening up, you need to open up another plate. But this comes with an extra fan, and also underneath will going to be maybe some extra cooling. So let's remove it by removing the 4 screws. We have seen this configuration before, not only with Herk, but also with different brands. Okay, the 4 screws have been removed. Let's lift this thing out. Okay, never do that like that, but just see if we can reach into some part over here. Let's see if we can reach in. Always be very careful. Okay, because the fan has been connected over there. So what you can actually see that, and that is one of the things I love about it, is that when you're going to be looking into, let's say, the overview of everything, so they also implemented a piece of thermal pad to actually make contact with the fan, or at least like the piece of metal over here, because they are giving it extra cooling. It's kind of interesting they went for only a short part, so where they're not using a thermal pad for all the way, they're using it only in a short part. So that's kind of interesting. They should improve that. So they're using Kingston, so I'm very glad they went for a normal brand, not like the weird stuff that we've seen before with other brands too. So in here we're having the memory, but the memory, oh, it says A data. Okay, so they're using A data when it comes to that, but also we're going to be looking into the specs, and here we can actually see the same thing. But let's put everything back together, and if you're going to be looking at it, we can even do a little bit of an upgrade over here, so adding another storage. If you want to have more of that, you can actually do it, or you can clone this particular drive and you can just upgrade it to a bigger one. So let's say you're going to be having a dual configuration, so it's going to be absolutely awesome. So if you need power, but also if you're going to be needing, let's say, storage, it's possible. Yeah, particularly when it comes to the storage, of course. The Orion one is not like the most fastest out there at this moment. Depending on the price you need to pay for it, if you're going to be seeing this video now or maybe in the future, the question remains, is it really worth it? That is something only you can decide. So when it comes to this particular product, the overall quality, I'm very satisfied with it. I think the speakers that some of these things come with is interesting, but you know, that is not something you should actually buy it for. It is going to be an extra handy thing. If you have no speakers in your monitor, you can just be plugging this thing in some office. You can actually play and just easily like you game or play games, or at least like work like that and listen to some music. Thank you all for watching. Consider subscribing, and it will be great to see you in the next video.